Testing, testing. All right. Give it a minute, see if anyone shows up for this. All right, Drew, you're here. That's good. Just wait and see if anyone else shows up. This is my alarm going off. It's 6 in the morning, so. All right, Anita, you're here too. Yes. Let's see. I guess we could go ahead and get started. So, yes, hello. So, welcome back to another Disney Watch-Along. Today we'll be looking at Disney's 29th animated feature film, as well as their second film in the Disney Renaissance, and a movie that tends to get overlooked by most people. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure it gets to the right. Okay. And that film, of course, being The Rescuers Down Under. Now, of course, this is a double feature, comes with the first film, and we already watched the first film, but we're finally checking out its sequel and Disney's first attempt to make a sequel. And I don't really count Three Caballeros as a sequel to Saludos Amigos. I guess you could say it's like a successor to its predecessor, but it's not really a sequel. But this feels like a legit sequel to one of Disney's narrative films. A film that, again, tends to get overlooked amongst the Disney classics. And it's funny because I remember I used to watch this movie a lot as a kid. In fact, I saw Down Under before I saw its predecessor. So, yeah. So, um, okay. All right. Okay. So, yeah, I guess I had that mistake too. It was released between Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. You got two giants like that. So, anyway, let's not beat around the bush. Let me just go ahead and turn this on. Now, everyone ready? Ready, spaghetti? 3, 2, 1. Play. Play. Okay. All right, it's playing. All right. All right. Classic Walt Disney Pictures logo. But yeah, I used to watch this film a lot as a kid. I had the VHS, and it's one of those movies when I distinctly remember as a kid when we talked about Disney movies we liked. I bring this movie up, and some of the kids didn't know what I was talking about. So clearly, this film back then wasn't very popular. I mean, barely anyone even saw it. And I know they released that short, The Prince and the Pauper, right before this movie, which also tends to get overlooked in terms of Disney, animations. Gotta love this opening, by the way. Also, something that I've noticed too is whenever people do Disney, like when they rank the Disney animated classics, this one tends to get ranked as one of the weaker films in the collection. And I don't know, maybe that is the case. Like I said, it's been forever since I've seen this movie, so. And we have a house that's right in the middle of nowhere. Produced by Thomas Schumacher. Is he related to what's his name? The director of Batman Forever and Batman Returns, Joel Schumacher. This movie came out before dinosaurs, so the way you sentence that, it makes it seems like dinosaur came out first. And we meet our child character of the movie, Cody. So I guess it's something he does. He just goes out exploring. But then again, what else is he? Then again, what else is he supposed to do since they in the middle of nowhere with no neighbors? So Nelson the Echidna. Wombats. I mean, they're cute here. They are in real life. Just saying. I know, right? Like, I feel like that's a common criticism I hear of this movie is that Bernard and Bianca don't feel like they're the main characters in this film compared to the first movie. In fact, it does take a while for us to see them because this first portion is just on Cody. So honestly, you could have made a movie just about this kid who befriends Australian animals and rescues them from poachers. I mean, that in of itself could have been a movie. Maybe that was giving the case, but they made it a rescuers film during the production. I don't know. Oh, he's a brave kid if you could just scale this cliff. Yeah, and right. You think the kookaburras can fly up there and I don't know, snip the rope? Maybe I don't know. Well, Cody Maverick's a completely different character from a completely different movie from a completely different studio. Also, I think this goes without saying, but Marihote is clearly a fictional species of eagle. Since I mean, yes, there are golden eagles, but they're not nearly this big. Even the I don't think even the biggest flying bird ever, the Argentavis, was as big as Marihote. So she's a unit. Yeah, House Eagle on roids. Even the real House Eagle, which lived in New Zealand, so not far off from Australia, wasn't even this massive. But that's what I was saying. Is the Argentavis the biggest flying bird we have in the fossil record? Was probably not this big. Lazy kookaburras, yeah. I guess. I mean, yeah, Black Cauldron was also not a musical. I would debate Great Mouse Detective wasn't a musical. It had a song here or there, but it wasn't really a musical. I feel like in order for something to be musical, it has to have songs that are throughout the film and they are part of the narrative. How to Train Your Eagle. Yeah, this was How to Train Your Dragon before well, except minus all the prejudice. So don't know what made you bring up Fox too. This whole opening is pretty cool, admittedly. Oh. Yeah, I know who directed it because I know one of those directors. They they would later go direct Pocahontas, and the other would go direct Fantasia 2000. So at least one of them would make a good film after this. Or you know what I mean? Well, that's one way to open your movie. Just be lucky she doesn't see you as dinner, kid. It's probably just those motherly instincts kicking in. Yeah, I know you already said that about Disney's openings. Interesting that she can understand him. So she, that's true. Yeah, I know, right? Another Disney film with dead. Well, in this case, dead fathers, not dead mothers. So there's that. It's different in that regard, I guess. Despite that Merahote has this blank expression on her face, some of the animators were able to emote so much from her. That's interesting to know the same animator as the bear animated Merahote wanted McLeach. Oh yeah, we're about to get our villain, folks. Mm. I think a lot of people can agree McLeach is one of the more underrated Disney villains. Well, some can. Sure, he's not like complex or anything, but just the performance alone by Dorsey Scott is entertaining. Not even this crazy vehicle he drives around. Well, that's the thing. McLeach is subtlety. What's that? Yeah, I know the way he bursts through the forest. Like he's definitely not subtle. Poor Joanna the Goanna. To people who hate Amos Slade from The Fox and the Hound for being a hunter or whatnot, let me remind you, Amos Slade was at least human, and he only did what he did for like survival and probably make money off of. Whereas McLeach is a legit wicked man who will hunt illegally and will do whatever it takes to get what he wants for profit. Yeah, Joanna's not an iguana; she's a goanna, hence her name, Joanna the goanna. Basically, she's a type of monitor lizard, which Australia is famous for their monitors. Surprised McLeach didn't break his back when he fell down. Yep. Yeah, I doubt McLeach took a trip to America to hunt deer. All right, I feel like deer would be too dull for him since they're too common. He's after for the incredibly rare and endangered. Oh dear. Yeah, that's the thing. Australia's famous for their saltwater crocodiles. Yeah, that's what I heard. There were plans for another Rescuers film and I guess even a TV show. So, but I guess it was all canceled when those actors passed away. Yep. And finally, the mice are calling for help, which I guess their communications have definitely advanced since the first movie. So, the Marshall Islands. Yeah, I know. That is the one criticism I tend to hear from a lot of people is that it does take way too long for this movie to introduce our main characters. The characters that we followed in the first movie. But I get it; they want to set up um the kid that needs to be saved and all that. Kidnapped in Australia, immediate action required. You're right. The mice know how to hack the military. Like there's some horrifying implications there. Send message to New York. It is a shame they never did more with this franchise. I mean, okay, I know Anita mentioned earlier about them making follow-up movies, but for some reason I thought The Rescuers Down Under was meant to originally serve as a finale to a TV show because I heard they like so Chippendale Rescue Rangers apparently was originally going to be a Rescuers TV show, but it ended up not happening. And I heard I thought I heard somewhere that Down Unders was meant to serve as kind of a finale to said TV show if it actually happened, which if that were to be the case, that would make a little sense. This movie does have that sense of finality, I guess. Yeah, I noticed the use of caps in this film. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we as the audience only know Bernard Bianca's mission from the first movie, so I guess they've had plenty of missions between that film and this one, so I guess they have become some of their best agents. Hmm. Yeah, over 18 minutes, we finally see Bernard Bianca. Yeah, I know, right? Must be hard for these guys to get food for themselves if that's how they get it. Ah, poor Bernard can't catch a break. Saga of the Universe hating Bernard. It is interesting to see a little more world building with the mice world. Like you have this restaurant that yeah, there's mice, but there's also insects as the waiters. Mm. Get his hopes built up for nothing. I mean, you gotta feel bad for Bernard because he's just so timid and he's clearly trying to, I guess, improve from the first film with his timid and I guess anxiety. Yeah, I think Bernard's heard all the stuff regarding Australia. It's I'm gonna say it. You know, how people always talk about make Australia the butt of the joke when it comes to its dangerous wildlife. Like, what makes Africa or South America any different when it comes to dangerous wildlife? In those continents, I'd argue they're worse. Australia is unique with its wildlife, but people always talk about how scary and dangerous the wildlife is, which, yeah, some of it is, but again, I'd argue the wildlife in Africa, especially, is way more dangerous. You don't hear people crapping all over Africa. And we met Wilbur, Orville's brother, which get it, Orville, Wilbur. Also, I never realized Wilbur was voiced by like, John Candy. Like, I don't know why that never crossed my mind. That's one actor we've lost way too soon. Killed the music. Yes, I've seen your comment regarding the music and whatnot. Well, that's all it took. Now, is Wilbur any better than his brother when it comes to flying? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, South Eagle, that the Albatross brothers are named after the Wright brothers. It's just kind of clever. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, how The Prince and the Pauper was released before this movie in theaters. Nice, Wilbur. You almost caused a car accident. Charles Winberg. Danger, open mine shafts. Yeah, invest in a back door, sure. The Northern Territory, where Kakadu National Park is. I don't know about Ratchet and Clank. I'm not too familiar with the franchise. Maybe. I think that's the joke, is how McLeach just make it seem like it's a bad thing for him to call the Rangers. And his mother's worried sick about him. Ah, jeez. Who knew Patton had pipes? They ride in Sydney. Yeah, you think they would have been dead with Wilbur laying on top of him. So the people who would eventually work for Pixar did the animation for this film. That makes sense. And they're in Sydney. I don't think you can take a train from New York to Australia, Bernard. Just saying. Getting mites from Brisbane, Australia. Yeah. And this is our other character of this film, Jake. Sheesh. You would think. Yeah, George C. Scott is another actor that legend that we've lost. I don't know, Wilbur. I don't know. Jake and Buck Wild aren't really the best comparison. Buck is a lot crazier than Jake. Yeah, Sparky knows what's coming. Okay, then. Hey, Ayers Rock. Alpha Jan Shady Durag videos. I don't believe I have. You sure about that, Doc? Hmm. Yeah, how does this guy have a doctorate degree? He seems to have a very extreme way of dealing with his patients. You know, this is gonna sound strange to bring up, but Luna from that one episode, Hell of a Boss, should have been lucky that that's not how she got her shot. Yeah, I know the way Jake looks when he finds out they're not married. Honestly, that's a cliche I've never really liked in stories. Is the love triangle cliche? Yeah, I've seen your comments. And the Rangers are now searching for him. And they're riding a sugar glider. I know, right? Again, poor Bernard. Meanwhile, back in McLeach's hideout. Who knows? The universe just seems to gain up against him. Yeah, I know, right? Throwing knives at a child, for kids. It does make you wonder, has Cody dealt with poachers before McLeach? Just saying. It just suddenly dawned on me. So it takes 18 minutes for Bruno and Bianca to finally show up. Like, considering this movie's an hour and 17 minutes, that means there's just an hour left of the film at that point. So, oh, sneak. At least it's at least it's a python and not one of the more, or at least I think it's a python. I don't know. At least it's not one of the venomous species. It's in Australia. It's very famous for its venomous snakes. Yeah, I guess it's one way to tame an animal, but no. Frank the Fro Lizard. I know, right? Kind of a big cage for a Fro Lizard, isn't it? Cut smart like koala. That's an. I'll give McLeach this. He's a little creative with how he comes up with these cages, like a tire with cage wires over it. Yeah, he's just as sarcastic as Nigel from the Wild. Uh-oh. You forget Joanna's guarding your prison. I doubt Disney had Home on the Range in mind when McLeach was singing that song. I don't know. Since it'll be over a decade till that movie gets released. Yeah, I know this film's considered part of the Disney Renaissance, so now they're right on Fireflies. Who knows? Back with Wilbur. Yeah, I don't think fireflies are that big compared to mice. 1990 wasn't really a big year for animation, but for movies in general, you had films like Home Alone and um, Akira Kurosawa's Dreams, Hunt for Red October. What kind of X-ray is that? What? I don't see how this was to help Doc. Yeah, I'm sorry. What doctor would use a chainsaw to operate? I think that would just make a mess and would, you know. Yeah, that's all he had to do. You just had to pop his back. Yep. And it goes, and what a coincidence! He flies over the house where Cody's mom is, and getting some bad news from the Rangers. Ellis Marks ranking. Maybe I will eventually. I mean, you guys haven't found the body. Just yeah, that's the one thing I wish this film did. Like, could we have not seen the mother's joy to see that her son is alive? Like, we never see that in this movie. Yeah, insert egg meme here. Yeah, I know, right? Fridge wars with family in a nutshell. Eh, no more eggs. Light bulb. Yep, he had a light bulb moment, all right. And wow, you actually did it, Frank. quite a sarcastic one, isn't he? Come on, the box can't be that heavy. I know you're little, but uh-oh. Yeah. At least they have Frank running on two legs, which is something for lizards do in fact do. Uh-oh. Busted twice. Yeah. Finally back to Bernard, Bianca, and Jake. Yeah, it feels like it's been a while since we last saw them. Bernard, that's not gonna do jack. Yeah, no, right. We never see what happens to those animals. Like my head canon is that at the end of the movie, when they're flying off with Merahote, like she drops him off at Cody's house, and he reunites with the mother, and he tells him everything. She calls the Rangers, let them know he's alive, and he informs them McLeach is hideout, and that's when the Rangers go and get all the animals out of there. That's what I think happened. I mean, McLeach is a good manipulator because I mean he can't be the only poacher that would want Merahote, given how rare she is. Clearly. So what is this truck that he drives around? Is that a real thing, or is uh oh? Yeah, dropped after third grade. I mean, Hmm. Yes, I've seen your comments. Why this film bombed so badly? I think it's because just not enough people went to see it. Most people didn't even know it existed. I guess Disney didn't market it well enough. I don't know. Mm, yeah. Yeah, that's quite the missile. You know. Yeah, McLeach is definitely insane. That's what greed does, though. It's all about the money. Yes, I've seen her comment. Yeah, kind of a drop there. Yeah, why does Joanna put up with McLeach? I don't know. Rest in peace, Peter Greenwood. Yeah, those clearly aren't eggs. Yeah, Joanna, you're not very smart. Can't you clearly tell those are rocks? I know, right? Like, Bernard must have been really busy if he was quick to think about that. If anything, I think this just proves that Bernard would make for a very good parent. Gabor's last film before death in 1995. Yeah. I mean, you are a bird, Wilbur, so yeah. Well, that's with most birds. It's usually it's both the parents help each other raise the chicks. Yes, I've seen your comment. Yeah, there's no way you're gonna keep up on foot, Bernard. Yeah, I know George Scribner directed Oliver and Company. I don't know, but I guess his truck is like an all-terrain vehicle of some sort. I don't know. Yeah, Bernard, you better be careful. That's a Razorback. Yeah, wild boars aren't a joke. I mean, I'm assuming razorbacks are like boars or any type of wild pig. Is they you don't want to mess with them. Yeah, Bernard is just willing to do whatever it takes to save the day. Frank Welker saying, "Yeah, yeah." And Joanna found you, Bernard. Bernard may have a thing for getting in trouble with reptiles. Oh, jeez. Yeah, we hope so too, Bernard. Yeah, no, I thought McLeach was this expert poacher. And goodbye. Mm. Also, I'm pretty sure crocodiles don't swim in rapid waters like this, but they're smart enough to know, yeah, we're out of here. And goodbye. Definitely a horrifying way to go. It's interesting that the two rescuers villains, their defeats have crocodiles involved. Hmm. Well, they say crocodile in the first rescuer, so yes, please, Cody, go home and to your mother so she'll know that you're alive. Just please. And then Bernard, you better let them know that Marahuda's eggs are still alive. And you left Wilbur with the eggs. I think they like you, Wilbur. Well, yeah. So yeah, um, that was the Rescuers Down Under, and on one hand, I kind of get where people might have an issue with this film. Like, it does take way too long for Bernard and Bianca to be introduced in the film. They don't have as much screen time as they did in the first movie, and I guess the comedy does well. It can be pretty funny, but I think it takes up too much time that could have been saved on fleshing out some of the characters. And honestly, because of those first like 15 or so minutes, it makes you wonder if they originally wanted to make a movie centered around this kid who loves saving animals in the Australian outback. Like that of itself could have been its own movie. But even with that said, I personally really like this film. I do think it's kind of underrated, and I really enjoyed it. It's not like one of my all time favorite Disney classics, but it's a movie I do like to watch every now and then. I just think both it and its first film are two underrated gems that not enough people know about. I mean, clearly because I don't know when people think of the Disney classics, they don't think of these movies. So, but yeah, but yeah. I hope you all enjoyed this watch on. It was really fun revisiting this. Yeah, McLeach is a very fun villain. Like, yeah, he's not like complex or anything, but he's just definitely one of the best parts of this movie, and I think he's definitely one of the more underrated Disney villains. But I hope you enjoyed this, and next time we'll be looking at what is one of my personal favorite Disney animated classics, which you all probably know what it is, as well as the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna end it here. Hope you all enjoy this, and I will catch you all in the next watch along. So later.